Okay, here's Doug.
What's up, everybody?
We're undercover today.
I'm always undercover.
Still have your mask going. We're still socially distanced, even though they relaxed. We need to give everyone like the weekly updates from the LA location here.
Yeah.
So they relaxed the corona regulations, I guess.
Yeah.
For LA. Now restaurants.
You can go to some restaurants.
You can eat inside the restaurants now.
We went yesterday.
Did you?
Coach Dave is here. We did go for the first time. We were able to go to the locale. Anyone in the Santa Monica, West LA area, locale on Pico Boulevard, Pico and Cloverfield.
My favorite
Best coffee.
Spot. Yeah.
Doug's favorite coffee spot. Best coffee, best monkey bread, right? Best pastries.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Avocado toast.
Freshest coffee.
So advertisement for Human and locale.
Cleanest bathroom.
So we had, restaurants and barbershops supposedly now can operate again with the proper social distancing guidelines and masks and sanitizer and everything.
But the nail salons aren't open.
I don't understand the differences there. But and then we had a pretty eventful night last night here in LA. There was some protests. There was some looting.
Everybody stay safe.
Some burning. So everyone seems to be on edge. Everyone seems to be, because they were at home for so long, it just seemed like with this, naturally, there's a lot of anger with what happened.
Yeah, no, it's great if people want to speak out.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
Say if you actually go to a protest spot, be real careful.
Just be careful, be peaceful.
But,
you definitely need to express your opinions, but not, but in the
voice,
right way.
Your voice needs to be heard,
right?
And I respect it, and all. Definitely do, but I definitely don't want to see people get hurt.
No, we don't need to add.
And I'm not even talking about protesters versus police either. I'm saying
just in
protesters
general.
And just
people
starting shit. Or just whatever happens.
It's all crazy.
Whatever pops off spontaneously or even planned.
I understand it though.
Yeah,
totally.
Dave understands.
I do.
Understands the situation.
So I also understand it's really important exercise, and if all these people were exercising,
and fresh air,
they wouldn't be doing this.
We can't say where we're at, but we are at it's a nice day today in Southern California.
We're out by the trees.
We're under the shade of the trees.
Nice, huh?
For security purposes.
We always are. Yeah. It's not palm trees. It's whatever kind of trees these are.
So on topic, Doug, we had not we, but unfortunately Curtis Coates passed away on
the boxing community
on Friday.
Boxing lost a Hall of Famer,
absolutely,
a welterweight champion
from Texas, right?
Yes, from Texas, and he became a world-class trainer. And I think I was talking to you guys about this before the Periscope. I think Curtis Coates was on his way to being a great, like an all-time great welterweight. But he had the misfortune of running into an all-time great welterweight named Jose Napoles from Cuba by way of Mexico. Very popular fighter here in Southern California. And he just couldn't get past Jose Napoles. But Coates was he was a world beater. He really was.
Did you ever see him fight live?
Oh, no. He's before my time, obviously. But I've watched I've had VHS tapes with his fights, his title fights. In particular, the fights against Napoles, and they're great fights. And there's so much craft on display between those two welterweights. I really feel like the 1960s is an underrated decade, and Coates is from that decade. You got lightweight, you got Carlos Ortiz, who's still alive. You had Coates at welterweight. Obviously, you had the prime Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. But they were terrific. I think Harold Johnson had emerged by the 60s.
Floyd Patterson was...
he was still around. Floyd really, to me, was more like a 50s, late 50s product. But the 60s, there was a lot of amazing talent.
So we're going to try to keep this short today. Dave, do you have your questions?
I have questions.
Okay. Questions and statements are welcome on the show.
I was reading about, it used to be the champions would have non-title fights between fights.
All the time.
Because first of all, they needed it for the money.
Sure.
Because they didn't fight once or twice a year.
Right.
They couldn't make any. They didn't make enough money for that.
Yeah.
Even with championship fights, so they would have like catchweight fights.
Sure.
And they would try to they'd see if they could go up a little.
Yeah.
So a good example of that is Emil Griffith.
Yeah.
So Emil Griffith. Okay, so Dougie.
Yeah.
He fought an over the weight, a non-title fight. Let me just find it here, and let's see. He fought. Who did he fight in a non-title fight?
You talking about him going up to middleweight before he was a middleweight?
Doug will know the answer before you ask the question. Okay?
No,
I gotta have context though.
Give me 1 second.
I mean, yeah, Griffith fought at welterweight. He was welterweight champ and middleweight champ. And he also held the junior middleweight title when that wasn't really recognized as a division.
Okay, so on December 20th, 1963, in Pittsburgh, non-title fight. He was 151 and a half. He fought this guy as 155.
1961.
1963?
1963.
Oh, 63, sorry.
Yeah.
How's
Did
it?
he win?
You told me?
I don't 19.
Okay,
That's kind of an
this was a
obscure-
fight. He was a champion.
Yeah.
This was a non-title fight.
Yeah.
Okay, which guys did then.
Sure.
Okay, so the guy, I want to know who he fought,
Huh.
who won, and then I
Was
want
he,
to
Can you
was
say
the guy
which-
that he
which
fought,
location?
Was he a Pittsburgh native?
no.
Was he
But he's a big name for other reasons.
Okay.
But he,
I'm going to say the guy he fought was a middleweight contender. Had a lot of power.
yeah,
Yeah.
you got
I'm
it.
going to say Reuben Hurricane Carter.
You got it.
And Carter took him out in one
You
round.
got it.
Oh, wow.
How many times did he knock him down?
I'm going to say 3 times.
Yeah, twice. You can watch it. They have it. It's on
Yeah.
video. I mean, he just demolished him. It was like with a hammer.
He was a terrific
And they
fighter.
stopped the fight, and Griffith's a little unhappy.
So
about
I got a question, Coach. Since that was a non-title fight, did he lose his title?
No, because it wasn't at 147
It
pounds.
was over the weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not fighting for the title.
Over the weight.
Okay, so let me. So that was on December 20th of '63. Okay.
Okay.
Getting back into
And
shape,
then
y'all.
He had.
You're getting compliments on your rope skipping.
We did
Doug.
some.
And then
We did some 100. We ran some 100 meters in the track,
Yeah.
So let me tell you.
and I did the stairs too, half of them.
So Griffith took off 3 months after his next fight was 3 months later, which was a huge break.
Right.
After he got knocked out in the first round.
He fought a guy from England, in England. And the guy was 30 wins and 1 loss. And it was for the title. He fought for the title. Next fight. After he got knocked out.
This was a title defense.
Yeah.
The welterweight, his welterweight title was on the line
I don't.
in England.
Yeah, I don't think you'll know this guy.
Huh? It was a British dude.
Yeah.
Gosh, maybe I know the name when I hear it, but
Yeah. Brian Curvis.
Nah.
Okay, but
I
here's-
didn't know that name.
Okay, now here, so yeah, 2 months after that fight in England,
yeah.
he had another title fight against a guy you have heard of.
Okay.
Okay, and this guy's really good.
We fought him in London.
Oh, I made a mistake.
But was this-
Okay, I
oh,
mean, he fought Brian Curvis in just a non-title fight.
Oh,
And then he
okay.
fought this guy in the title fight. Okay,
Okay.
Dave Charnley.
Who?
Dave Charnley. You don't know him?
I'm not familiar with him.
He
no.
was a big fighter. Okay,
But
so,
you know what was interesting? The mentality of fighters at the time. You could suffer a devastating knockout, and they would come back in a couple of months like nothing
Still
happened.
fight, right? Mm-hmm.
And they would actually bounce back. You know, it wasn't the end of their career. And I've noticed now a fighter gets brutally knocked out.
And they're off for like.
And there's all these questions about them. They take a long, it's like, and then they should take, several months off. I mean, there should be no contact for like 60 days at least. But I just noticed like it seems to be like more pressure. Like, well, I guess there's more pressure not to lose. Period. So
Right.
there's,
That
fighters going to have
undefeated-
psychological issues if they just
mythical
lose.
undefeated
But
record.
if they
yeah.
get knocked out like brutal
Right.
fashion, it's like half the boxing world is like, well, that's it, they're done forever.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy
You
for the
lose the
fighter to
mystique.
internalize this and kind of be like, oh crap, am I done? And not have confidence. And then they get in that ring and they might get hurt again. And if they get hurt, or if they get knocked out again, then 100% of the boxing world takes a big step back. They jump off the bandwagon totally. And it just seems like guys are their careers are pronounced over after a couple knockout wins. And it seems like, I look at the Hall of Fame, who's in the Hall of Fame? There were guys who got knocked out at early part of the year, and by the late part of the same year, they won a world title.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
the thing with Griffith, he really only took 2 punches.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like he
Right.
It was like when Tarver knocked out Roy Jones.
Right. But Roy was over.
But,
after that.
yeah, but
Plus
then
he was
when
older.
Jones got knocked out by
Glenn Johnson.
That was a beating.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different deal.
So we're getting requests for you to do a crossover.
Let's see if I can do a crossover.
Skip rope.
I hadn't skipped rope in weeks because I thought I broke my pinky toe. So I had to let that.
That's right. How's
heal.
your toe doing?
It's feeling better. I mean, I can kind of feel it, but it's not like pain. I don't think I broke it. I think I just sprained it real bad. I mean, it looked horrible. But anyways, let me see.
Let's see.
Oh,
There we go. Nice.
oh, good.
There we go.
Okay, so I made a mistake. I got my things. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Emil Griffith, after he lost that fight, he fought.
Griffith
He
fought
fought
everybody.
Ralph Dupas,
Yeah, he was a top 10 contender
and then
out of Louisiana, right?
that was 2 months later. Three weeks later, he fought Stan Harrington.
He's a name. Yeah, he was a top 10 contender.
Then 4.5 months later, he fought Luis Rodriguez.
And I was about to bring up Luis Rodriguez. He's another guy. He's in the Hall of Fame from Cuba. He could have been, an all-time great, long-reigning welterweight, but he happened to occupy the same time as Griffith.
Okay.
And he and Griffith, all their fights were super close. But Rodriguez only won one of the fights, the one that took place here in Los Angeles. And I think he only held the title for like 30 days. So it's like the shortest welterweight title reign ever. But Luis Rodriguez, who trained out of Miami and had Angelo Dundee in his corner, he's an all-time great welterweight. And he was a welterweight who routinely outboxed and beat middleweights.
And who was Griffith's trainer?
Gil Clancy,
You got it.
one of my favorites.
So did he fight Luis Rodriguez at the Dodger Stadium?
Yes.
I was there. I saw that
Yeah, I
fight.
think that's the only. I think I could be wrong. You boys and girls at home can check BoxRec, but I think that's the only fight out of their 4 that Rodriguez won. But I've read reports on the fights, and I think the fights are on. You can find them on YouTube, or at least parts of them. They're just hotly contested, very close fights. But if you look at who Rodriguez fought, you brought up Hurricane Carter.
Yeah.
I think Rodriguez beat Carter twice. You know what I mean? The styles make fights. And some lighter fighters are better suited to go up in weight than others.
Who wrote the song about Hurricane Carter?
That would be Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
So Sam Garcia logged on.
You know who knows a lot about Ruben Hurricane Carter? The referee, Ron Lipton. You know
From
Ron
New York.
Lipton?
From New York.
Yeah.
He's
New
been
York,
trying to
New
do
Jersey
one of
area.
our fights for a long time out there when we were doing the Triple G fights at the Garden. Wanted to referee those fights.
He was friends with Carter, and he was a sparring partner, a paid sparring partner.
So
Carter.
what was Emil Griffith's record?
He's 60s, he's 50s, 60s era, so he had a buttload of fights.
Yeah.
He was fighting all the damn time. Man, I'm gonna just like Art Aragon, I'm gonna say it's up in like the 80s.
Yeah.
His wins.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm gonna say for the losses, little over 20. And then probably a bunch of draws, probably like 6 to 8 draws. You have a long career, you're gonna have some draws.
We got a couple questions here,
Well,
Doug.
let me just tell you, Doug
Okay.
is so smart.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think you looked at my list.
No,
No, you did.
I
No,
never
that-
do that.
no.
What would be the fun in that?
85 wins.
Wow.
24 losses,
Yeah.
two draws. I mean, it's
And most of those losses towards the end. He fought for a long time. I mean, he was still fighting in the 70s.
Oh.
And he's a 50s. He's turned pro in the 50s, you know.
So he was
That's
so
why
good.
he's a great. He's an all-time great.
Yes.
I'm sure you met him, like during the World Boxing Hall of Fame.
That was the original one.
Yeah.
And you would walk in there and be all these. I mean, Bobo Olsen would
Yeah.
be there, and
Fulmer, Basilio,
yeah,
they would come out.
They would all be there.
Yeah.
And but Emil Griffin was there every time.
Yeah.
Hey, but that was so great. I mean, back then, you know, when Perret gave him all that crap about being gay,
Yeah.
but he was still in the closet.
Yeah. And that was like, you didn't do that.
Yeah, so it's like, but now it's so, things have changed so much. That's great.
So someone was asking about Chocolatito and Estrada, if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm thinking it can get done for this
I
year.
know they were talking about it before the whole shutdown,
Yes.
so it wouldn't surprise me if it did happen.
I'm thinking like
soon.
October, Southern California area.
In the fall, yeah.
Yeah, in the fall.
Could be.
Wow.
Yeah. And then someone
Sign me
else
up.
said, I don't know, Rancho del Toro said something about he met you at a restaurant
Yeah,
and you picked Kovalev over Ward,
I did.
and he laughed at your face.
Oh, he did.
I actually think that
I tell you
Kovalev
what, if
won
I
the
was
first
if
fight.
I was sitting right next to him watching that fight live
Yeah.
after the final bell for the first fight, I would have laughed in his face.
Right.
But then
Was
after
it the
these
second fight?
scorecards are announced, he would have laughed in my face.
But did he come up to you for the second fight or the first fight?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I-
Definitely, I was Kovalev.
I was there
that first
with
fight.
Triple G, and we all thought that
Come on.
Kovalev had won that first fight.
Come on,
But
man.
clearly,
if Andre Ward held 3 world titles, and he went to Russia to fight Kovalev, and he dropped Kovalev and dominated the first 6 rounds the way that Kovalev dominated those first 6 rounds, and Kovalev got a decision that close, unanimous decision, with that knockdown in Russia, everybody would be saying that is a robbery, that was wrong. Andre Ward should not have traveled to Russia. This is corruption. This is blah 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 blah. But you know,
second fight,
everybody's biased, man.
second fight, Ward asserted
Now,
himself
He did,
much
and,
better.
and listen, he deserved that win.
Yep.
But that fight, that rematch, is not without controversy.
It also has some
I
controversy.
don't like the way those fights were officiated.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Who were the judges? in the
And
first
I'll go ahead and say this: if I was the manager or the promoter of a fighter from the former Soviet Union, from a country, a territory that was once part of the Soviet Union, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't take my fighter to Vegas.
We had some controversy in the Triple G fights also,
Yeah,
so
it's
I
like-
know exactly what you're.
It's
what
like
you're talking about.
they there's rules for some and there's rules that they, you know, like at the weigh-in for the Triple G Canelo rematch, you know, you're only supposed to have so many people on stage. Canelo brought an army onto the
Right,
stage.
that's
They don't
right.
say nothing.
And we went through all the security measures beforehand, and it didn't
Yeah,
seem to
Team
help.
Triple G, it's like, hey, get off the
Right.
stage, get off the. It's just like that sends a message.
No,
It's
actually,
just
remember
like,
that we
it's
couldn't even get like 8 people on, and there
Yeah.
were like 20 people.
But I don't
on the
like
site.
that.
Yeah.
I don't like that
No,
shit.
you're right.
I
You're
don't
right.
like that shit. Whatever.
You're right. All right, Coach, you have any other questions
Off
on
my
your side?
soapbox.
No, it's okay.
Say, who was that who remembered the Kovalev thing?
Let's
Toro
see,
something?
Rancho something. Let's see here,
up,
Rancho del Toro. Yeah.
What's up, Rancho del Toro? Thanks for joining us.
Well, let me ask you, what was Joe Brown's nickname?
Old Bones.
You got it.
Old
What
Bones?
an underrated lightweight champ. Do you know, Coach? Old Bones is one of those fighters when somebody wants to debate with me in person, like Rancho del Toro.
Okay.
Wants to say, let me give you my top 10
Right.
all-time fighters and tell you why,
Right.
whatever. Floyd Mayweather is number 4. And I say, answer one question. Tell me one thing about, and I'll just name a fighter, right? I used to say Bob Montgomery. And then I started going with Old Bones. I said, what? Can you tell me one thing about Joe Brown? I like to use these old lightweights because you got like Jimmy Carter. They don't even get Ike Williams. I say, tell me one thing about Ike Williams. And they're like, I don't know. He was a fighter, right? I'm like, you tell me, yes or no. And they don't even have the confidence to do that. So I'm like, why would I, what do I
Engage
care? It's
in
like,
that, yeah.
you just tell me your favorite fighters.
Yeah.
Or who you think the best that you know. Because that's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you guys know I'm a very casual team sports fan, right? But once upon a time, I used to watch NBA. You know, I would say from the mid-'80s till about the early 90s, right? You know, and I saw a lot of really good teams, right? You know, you had the Lakers, you had the Celtics, You had the Pistons.
Right.
And, of course, you had the reign of the Chicago Bulls.
Right.
And maybe you could say, I don't know what Chicago Bull team you would say they peaked at. Maybe maybe was that was it the late 90s or mid to late 90s when they had Dennis Rodman on there as well?
I think it was, yeah.
And they won like over 70 games.
Yeah,
You remember what years that was?
96, 7, and 8.
Yeah, okay. So so I was watching at that
That's when
period.
Jordan came back.
Oh.
The
Yeah.
second
We all-
time.
Right.
Yeah. When we saw
MJ
that
returned,
documentary.
and then
yeah.
they all, they got one of the bad boys, and
Right.
and they still had Pippen. They just had a strong team.
Right.
Forget about it. They just
Sure.
had a strong team and a strong coach,
Right.
and a strong system, right?
Right.
And they won, like, I think to that point. I don't follow NBA, so I don't know if the record's been broken. But to that point, they had like the best record, like regular season record or whatever. Now I could say that's the greatest NBA team of all time, barring none. I might be right, but here's the thing: I couldn't say that because I haven't gone back and watched those
So
great
all that-
teams from the '60s
right.
or the '70s, and I haven't watched it since the 2000s. There's 20 years of NBA history. Or I could say best player ever, Michael Jordan. I might be right? I might be right. He's the best I've seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't really say that because I didn't really watch Kobe
Right,
Bryant.
Will Chamberlain.
And
or,
I haven't gone back and watched
Dave saw
Wilt
them.
Chamberlain
Dave saw
or
Will Chamberlain
yeah,
and Bill Russell.
Bill
play.
Russell. Thank you very much. Or any of those guys.
Yeah.
So
Kareem.
thank you, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You
Jerry
can go on,
West.
Jerry
West.
West. We can go on and on and on. And so I would just say Michael Jordan's the best I've seen. But for some reason, boxing fans don't want to do that. They want to say no. The guy that in my opinion is the best is the best.
That's right. A lot
Which
of
I'm like,
controversy there.
You got to do some research. I think, especially a sport as old as boxing.
So Rancho said he met you at La Huasteca in Linwood.
Oh,
Sounds
cool.
like a
Yeah.
Mexican restaurant.
Mexican restaurant,
Yeah.
yeah. And,
So he
and
gave you a
Plaza del Mexico, and sometimes they would have press conferences there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he said he's been following you and Steve Kim for a while. So
Wow.
gives you respect.
Thanks. Thank you.
So let me ask you this about Old Bones.
Old Bones.
You had a long
Is that
range.
opposed to Johnny Bones Jones?
Hey, so he fought non-title fights. Okay, so he fought one against Ray. What's the guy's last name? Non-title fight, March 21st, 1960.
The first name is Ray.
Yeah, Ray, and he had Joe and Brown quit after 6 rounds because he hurt his rib
Oh.
in a non-title fight.
And so it was over. I'm guessing it was over 135 pounds. Maybe
I don't
maybe
know
even
the
just a
weight,
couple
but
of pounds.
it was-
Usually the
yeah,
non-title, they
probably
just
the
come in a
most-
couple pounds
yeah.
over. Yeah, it's not necessarily a catch weight.
Roy Protea. Okay, so he quit because he couldn't breathe.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
He broke a rib or something.
And this was in 1960.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like notable, like a contender, a good contender
Yeah.
with the
And
first
then-
name Ray in 1960.
But then, so that was on March 21st. He comes back, and a month and a half later, he fights Battling Torres. At that time, it's 23-2.
Yeah.
Next night at the Olympic Auditorium, knocks him out in 4.
Yeah.
And then he comes back another 2 weeks later, and he fights Cisco Andrade
Yeah.
in a
Top 10.
15-round title fight, and
Wow.
he wins that.
Wow.
So these guys would.
At least every third month they're fighting,
Oh,
right?
is this it?
And high level of competition.
Yeah, badly.
So who was the guy who stopped
Battling
him to the body?
Torres. There's a name from the past.
Yeah.
That was Ray.
Coach saw him fight. I think
Ray-
Coach saw Battling Torres' first loss, right? Was that the Carlos Ortiz?
Yeah. At the Coliseum.
Wow.
Coach, you got. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So that was Ray Protea. The
Ray
guy
who?
Lost to Protea.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
anything
not
about
familiar
him,
with
but
him.
He was just a journeyman. So they
Wow.
would fight these journeymen on the non-title fights.
And they wouldn't worry too much if they lost either.
No, they wouldn't. Like Nino Benevenuti, he lost the same way.
Yeah.
He had to quit because of a rib injury too in a non-title
It's a
fight.
smart thing.
But all these guys would come back, a
Yeah.
month later, 2 months, they're fighting again. They're fighting every 2 weeks, and it was like insane. But it was really good.
Do you have more nicknames?
I like Old Bones though.
Old Bones. I've never heard that one before, but
Isn't that good?
that's a great nickname.
It's reminiscent of Joe Gans. He's the first African American boxing world champion, and he was also a lightweight, a long-reigning lightweight champion. And his nickname was the Old Master.
Oh, okay. Old Master Gans.
So have you ever heard of Tom Bethia?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Tom Bethia. Oh wait, maybe I'm thinking of somebody
Okay,
different.
Tom Bethia is the guy who in 1970, the year you were born, Doug.
Yeah.
He.
That's right. Doug just celebrated his 50th birthday.
I'm an old man.
The big 5-0.
Old Bones.
Old Bones.
Old
That's gonna be
Bones.
my nickname.
That might be
Old
your new
Bones.
nickname.
I was the Old Master.
That might
Now,
stick.
I'm just Old
Okay,
Bones.
so Tom Bethia, who's from New York,
Yeah, was he a middleweight?
he was a middleweight,
Yeah.
and he stopped Nino Benvenuti,
Oh, okay.
and they had a
This is an aging
rematch.
Benvenuti.
They had a rematch
No, maybe not. Had an
right
aging.
after that, and he got knocked out by Benvenuti. So here's the guy. So this guy, Tom Bethia, his nickname,
I have no idea.
Tom Bethia? No idea.
the Bomb.
The Bomb?
The Bomb?
The Bomb.
Tom the Bomb?
Okay, but here's guys he fought.
Some people have called me
Should be your
that.
nickname.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some people have called me
So
that.
Tom Bethia's record, 22 wins and 21 losses. He got KO'd 12 times. But he fought Marvin Camel, Michael Spinks, Marvin Johnson,
He went up in weight.
Mike Quarry, and Benny Briscoe.
So how did he
Briscoe's the only middleweight of the names you mentioned. The others are all light heavyweights.
How did he get the name the Bomb?
Let me
So we had to get back to current news. We had UFC had their fourth show last night. It was the first show at the Apex in Nevada. So the first licensed combat event in Nevada.
Yeah.
The Apex is the built.
Training facility,
It's
correct?
part of the training facility.
Studios and
it's
all
like
that.
it's like the Octagon built in a TV studio that they built. Dana had the
They
foresight.
can do that, the Ultimate Fighter
Yeah,
series from
sure.
there, and
But it
there's
works
also living
perfect.
quarters, obviously.
It works perfect for a non-audience, non-public
They probably have a whole
situation.
sports medicine clinic there, and
I actually-
cafeteria.
I actually liked it better than the big empty arena because
Yeah, I know.
everything, the camera angles,
Yeah.
the lighting, the production, it didn't have that
You
like
were
kind of
unaware that there was no audience.
right. It didn't have that hollow feel to it.
All right.
So
And the fights were good?
Fights were great.
I only saw a couple of the fights,
Okay.
so I can't really.
They were really
Yeah,
good.
their
but,
matchmaking is usually really
but
solid, right?
it's competitive.
Yeah.
Competitive.
They had this one girl on, I don't know her name, but she was good.
They have a pay-per-view coming up next week, so they're on a
They
roll
are,
right
and
now.
this clears the way for Top Rank's weekly series
Right.
that's going to start
I think
in
June, right.
Starting with June 9, Shakur
Right.
Stevenson comes back, and that's probably a non-title bout.
Where's that going to be?
Las Vegas.
No, from their.
No, it's going to be on one of the MGM.
I thought it was at
properties,
one of the
right?
properties. Yeah, one of the MGM
yeah.
They should
properties.
use the UFC, except Top Rank and.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
like
they
each
don't-
other.
they don't get
Yeah.
along, yeah.
Yeah.
So we should
But,
probably.
smart. I mean, Bob Arum is, he's the first major promoter to
Yeah.
get back in it regularly, and I like that he's doing. First of all, a twice weekly series,
Yeah,
Tuesday and Thursday.
I like that.
yeah, catching up on
So
a
in
lot
the
of
week,
those.
during the week,
Catching up.
it's kind of
Ber-
interesting.
Bernie says it's going to be at the MGM Grand Ballroom,
Yeah.
so that would make sense.
Okay.
So
Who
you
said
know-
that?
Bernie.
Bernie.
Yeah.
Bernie knows.
Bernie knows.
Thanks for joining us, Bernie.
So
Bernie.
we should. Do we have anything to wrap up, Coach?
Well,
Is there any other news?
So we have.
nothing's going on in LA right now.
Golden Boy's supposed to come back on July 4th,
July.
probably at
Fantasy Springs. I heard
yeah.
that. That, and then we got on ESPN tonight. We got
There's something announced. Oh, there's been a couple other, I think Ivan Baranchik and Jose Cepeda. They had a fight announced. Those are two top contenders at 140 pounds. That's supposed to be in July. And the Maloney brothers, I heard. Yeah, are you familiar with the Maloney brothers
from Australia. Yeah, sure.
They're two contenders. One is at 115 and one is at 118.
I was gonna say they almost made it on the Superfly
Yeah,
series.
and I think they're fighting Golden Boy guys. They're fighting Joshua Franco.
Okay.
That's for the 115 pounder.
Yeah.
And Oscar Negrete for the 118 pounder. So those are good fights. Those the Australians will be tested.
I was just gonna say.
Shout out to Tony Tolge.
Yeah,
their
Tony
manager.
Tolage is a
Great guy,
solid,
right?
yeah, good guy,
Good guy.
good manager. Now he contacted me a number of times about
Yes.
the Superfly series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's got a Superfly.
Yeah.
So I just have one question for you, Doug, and then you can get that.
Yeah.
What was Joe Brown's record?
Was that Mean Joe Brown? Or
Old Bones.
Old Bones?
You know, I don't know. Again, he's a '60s era guy, so you know they fought. So I'm gonna say his wins were in the like the '60s, like mid '60s maybe. Losses
But he
probably
fought a
double
lot. He
digit.
fought more.
He fought more than that. Wow, good for him. All right, so I'm gonna say around like 80.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say losses probably, double digits, maybe like up into the high teens or even the 20s, the low 20s. And then he had like, I don't know, 6 draws. 5 draws.
Okay.
I'm totally guessing.
What was his record?
No, but you've been so.
What's
He's
his-
not one of these. He's not one. I know of him. He's not one of the guys that I
Yeah.
really go back and
Yeah.
study. I should though, because he's a forgotten champion.
What's his record?
Sadly,
Coach?
just like Bob Montgomery and Jimmy Carter.
121 wins, 47.
Whoa! We had over 100.
14 draws.
I was gonna. Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Man, I really lowballed him.
Hey, so I tell you,
I gave him half
The
the
way
number
Coach
of
was
wins.
asking the question, I was gonna say over 100 wins.
Jeez.
So I've been watching
Good.
the Edwin Valero fights on YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
this
you-
week.
you've
They're
been-
sensational. Oh my God!
Say he
was
could
really
be one of the
entertaining.
all-time
He's
best.
part of one of those fights. He was the announcer in the fight in Austin.
With 2 Hall of Famers.
So we got. I'll switch it around here. This is my social distancing.
Yeah. You've been
We
good.
got Lance Armstrong is the second part on ESPN. That was actually it was very interesting for the first part. So tonight on ESPN, and then shout out to Showtime. You're wearing the Showtime hat. A couple of sports documentaries on Showtime. Is the Julian Edelman story is interesting for the Patriots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No wonder I had no clue.
And Meta World Peace. Ron
Oh,
Artest.
that I'll check out. He's
That
a big
was-
boxing
that's a
fan.
good one, yeah.
I've met him.
So
I have his book. He's got a book, and it's signed by him.
He was managing a fighter.
Yes, he was.
He was managing a
Yeah.
In
fighter.
fact, he had a game that night. Remember, was it the?
Yeah, and he just came over to the
Came
Velasco after
before
the
he
game.
played. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That was like Roy Jones playing
Roy
basketball
played.
before he fought.
Wow.
Okay, we're gonna sign off, Coach. So drive safe,
Yeah.
stay
good.
inside, observe the curfews, right, Doug?
Yeah.
Curfew
I want
was
everything
from
to be safe.
8 to 5:30,
Skip some rope.
and
Grill some food in your
everyone be
backyard.
safe out there. Be peaceful.
Eat healthy.
Love everybody.
Love everyone.
Love
Let
everyone.
drive like you just won the lottery.
Yeah.
I know there's some challenging times for 2020,
Yeah.
but we got to get through this together.
We're all in this together.
Still observe your social distancing, your washing the hands.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the virus too quickly.
Respect yourself, your health.
But we
your
definitely want
hygiene,
things
and,
to-
and respect other human beings.
definitely want
And your
things to open
compassion
up.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone is having it tough. We just be cool, be
Yeah.
calm, and you got to work out. You got to do some kind of exercise.
And be positive, right, Coach?
Totally.
Get some fresh air, some sunshine.
All you have to do is go walk.
Stay in
the
and
patio.
see you, Doug.
Later, everybody.
Adios.